All right, well, welcome back to Bride or Raise. This is the conclusion of the study that we've been looking at this week in Genesis chapter 30. We were looking at 1 through 24 in this study, and just this crazy story. So this story that we looked at is not just a record of a bunch of crazy people. That's not the point. God had Moses write this down because it is the record of how the 12 tribes, we have 11 here, we'll get to number 12 in a little while, was the record of how the tribes of Israel came into being. As the nation is about to walk into the promised land, after years of exile in Egypt and the wilderness wanderings, they would be reminded of where they came from. They came from two sisters trying to have more children than each other and fighting over the love of Jacob. Not exactly an amazing origin story, is it? In fact, it's quite sad. But Moses will remind the people, "For you are a people holy to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you to be a people for his treasured possession out of all the peoples who are on the face of the earth." It was not because you were more in number than any other people that the Lord set his love on you and chose you, or you were the fewest. For you were the fewest of all people, he says. But it's because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath that he swore to your fathers. And it's through this nation, specifically Leah's son Judah, that the Messiah Jesus would come. See, remember the promise from Genesis chapter 3 that the offspring of the woman would come? See, that promise was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And the promise to Abraham was that he would be a blessing to his offspring, would be a blessing to the nations. Right? He would have an offspring. That's what Paul's argument in Galatians chapter 3, that, Paul said that, and he points to the fact that God says that Abraham's offspring, his one offspring, not many offspring, his one offspring, would bring about the blessing of the nations. And he says, it's Jesus Christ. He is the fulfillment of that covenant promise to Abraham. He says that's it. That was the answer. So we might be tempted to look at Leah, Rachel, and Jacob and really to judge them, right? I mean, it's crazy stories what they're doing. It's I don't know. And it might be easier for us to judge them. But imagine what events in your life, if it were viewed from an outsider, might be a turning point in your life. Think about it. Some of the dumb stuff that you've done in the past. And maybe that was a turning point, but that would be the thing that would be inscripturated. If you're an unbeliever today, know that God says, God saves. God saves. He does. Remember that God saves people. And if you're an unbeliever, he can save you. He can save people like Jacob, who is not a good guy. He starts off horribly. He's a liar. He's a cheat. He's marrying 4 women. It's just crazy stories. All at the same time, by the way, not in succession. It's not like he has 4. He marries 4 women, marries one, then divorces. He's got 4 women all at the same time, all wives. So, these people here in the story, they've made a mess of their lives through sin. It's not because of anything else. It's just because they're doing wrong. There's no sin here, though, that is so great that it has not been overcome by God. And that's the great thing, that God is going to use them. He's going to use Jacob and then Judah and then his family line to bring the Messiah. God can redeem anything. He can redeem anyone. I think that's the message here too, is that, you got this crazy story of all these 4 people, well, 5 people really, and this marriage of this family that is not what it's supposed to be, and they're acting in ways that they should not be acting, but yet God saves this whole situation. He saves these people. So the message to you is, if you don't believe that if God can do this with these people, he can do it to you. You might have made a mess of your life. But it's not so far gone that God can't rescue you. You're not so far gone that God can't save you. He can change things in your life. He can do that. So what you need to do is just go to Him. Go to God. Say, pray to God. Even now, and ask Him to forgive you. Like, my God, I've made a mess of this life that You've given to me. You've got to do something. Ask Him to take your sin-ridden life and redeem it for His sake. Take this life, this destructive, horrible mess that I've created, and save me, Lord. Save me. And if you're a Christian and you're going through this, especially if you're a Christian wife, and you have a Jacob for a husband, whether you feel like a Leah or a Rachel, because I'm sure you can identify probably with one of them, remember not to take things into your own hands. Serve the Lord, honor your husband, and trust that God will hear you and listen to you. And when I say honor your husband, I don't mean be a doormat, don't let him abuse you, things like that. But, there's still a way to honor people even when they don't deserve it. There's still a way to give honor to people that are horrible, that are just messed up, that really don't deserve your respect, but yet God calls us to honor them. Like God calls us to honor the emperor, even when the emperor was just a horrible, despicable person who was doing these heinous acts of evil. Still honor him for where God has put him as the authority figure. So there's honor without being a doormat. God doesn't call you to be a doormat, but does call you to be honorable. If you are a Christian husband or a young man, hear this. God has called us to be a one-woman man. That means we have one wife. But it also means that we don't let our wives wander to every woman that has a pulse. We guard our eyes and minds. Like Jacob, who said, or not Jacob, but Job. We do like Job. He said, I have made a covenant with my eyes. How could I gaze at a virgin? As a single man, you practice self-control until God gives you that one woman. That's what you need to do. So, there's a lot of applications we can make here. But we need to ask God to make us holy. That's what Jacob needed. That's what Rachel needed. That's what Leah needed. To God help them to become holy, to start doing and making right choices. So may God help us as we strive to live lives that are holy and pleasing to Him. And may we praise Him because He is a long-suffering God and a forgiving God.